Hi, my name is Dan Hopman. I'm one of your instructional coaches with the Palmdale School District, and we're going to look at entering data for an assessment in Illuminate. The first thing I need to do is find that district assessment. I'm going to go to View Favorites. Now, when you get into My Favorites, you want to make sure that the district favorites, for lack of a better term, is illuminated and isn't dark. So when it is not bold, it looks like this, and you may only see your favorites. If it is like that, make sure you choose District Favorites. And I'm going to choose this one right here, Module 1 for Engage New York. Now, if you notice, you get this box that pops up. From here, I'm going to hit the Enter button. Now, it might get something a little bit different. Let me show you what I mean. Let me go over to another assessment that I had chosen. And if you get this page, that means that someone's already taken that assessment. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here to Administration, and I'm going to enter or edit scores. And it takes me to the same spot. If you notice that this assessment, I need to make sure that all my information is correct here, just like it is on this assessment. In this case, my students have not taken this assessment yet. I want to confirm my site and the date. The control panel will almost always show you the current date. If you ever want to use something a little bit later on, you can always go to custom or change it to a year. But in this case, I want the current date. For myself and for those that have access to more than just their classroom, you may have to select the teacher. But if you're just a regular old teacher who's worried about their room, then your teacher will always populate on its own. What you may have to go in and do, and this is mainly for 6th, 7th, and 8th, is choose the room you want to be able to enter hand scores by. In this case, I'm going to leave mine blank. For view, I'm going to view all my students, so I'm not going to give it any criteria. However, if I wanted to see students with data, maybe they changed an answer, I want to go back and change it for them. Or I want to see students who have not taken the test yet and without data. But in this case, I want all my students. And now I'm going to find my students. So here are all my students. This is entering it by the grid. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the date that the student took it, the version, and I'm going to go ahead and enter in the scores that they have received. And just so you know, there's a little arrow right here that I click and allows me to enter the score. Now, previously with ORS, we were able to have an entire column populate with an answer, and you can do that as well with Illuminate. So I'm going to come over here to the date, and if you notice, right next to the date, you can see this little box right here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take that box, and I'm going to click on it and drag it down. I'm only going to do it for a few of my students because I want you to see what else we can do with entering scores. When I come here to version, I can do that as well. And with question numbers. So maybe all my students, for the most part, scored a 1, except for this student. For question 2, all of them scored a 2. For question number 3, they all did pretty good, but this one received a 1. And for question 4, this student right here got a 2. So that's one way of entering scores. The second way is I can also do it by student. When I click by student, if you notice, I already see the information that was populated in the grid. But if I click on the arrow, I can go to the next student and the next one until I get to a student who has no data. And just like before, if I have students that have common scores between them, I can click that little box and drag it down. So let me go ahead and put in my scores for the students. There's John and Pluto. Pluto, they got the same score all the way down. There's Rin 10. He also did really well, and we'll get all the same scores. You can see it just clicks it right through. If you notice, date and version numbers are already populated. There's Zeus. There we go. And if you notice, the arrow now has gone dark. It's no longer bold. So now, if I want to go back a student, I can hit the back button. Or at any time, if I want to select a student, I can hit the arrow next to the student's name, and I can click on their name. So now, if I come here by grid, you will see that they all have answers. So that is how you input data into Illuminate for assessments.